Oh no, I hit the wrong button. It's recording on the cloud. Hopefully that's not too hard to find.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah, but that's okay. Friday night.
It's Friday night. It's race weekend for both of us. I don't
Yeah,
know if we've
right.
had. Oh no, we had this at 70.3 Worlds, but it's not a usual thing. We both are racing on the same weekend.
In different states, and yeah, we got a
Different,
lot of people racing this weekend.
yes, all over the country. Actually, probably
Yeah.
all over the world. I mean, obviously with COVID, everything got pushed around and everything got
Mhm.
moved around. And this fall has become race central.
Yeah.
If you're a triathlon fan and triathlon racer, it's the time for sure.
Be sure to have your phone charged because your Ironman app is going to be pinging you left and right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, we got people down at Waco.
Yep.
We got obviously Ironman California.
It's a ton of people from Nevada here.
Yeah, and Pumpkin Man. Those are
And
the three
Pumpkin.
big ones. I'm not sure where else anyone's racing, but
I'm sure there's some somewhere.
yeah, right.
Yep.
So if you're racing this weekend, congrats.
Yes, absolutely.
So
So
you're in California now.
yep, I'm in the beautiful Airbnb in Sacramento, and
Mm,
we got checked in yesterday. Today we drove the course.
okay.
It was a pretty rainy morning. There wasn't very many people out on the course, and then the sun actually did come up, and we rode the run part of the run course.
Oh, that's good. Yeah,
Um,
I've seen some pictures of people. It looks wet there already.
yeah, it rained probably half an inch this morning.
Okay.
Um, and then tomorrow is supposed to be a nice day actually until about 11 or so, they said
Mm,
at night. And then they said it's going to be up to 5 inches of rain in the next like
nice.
48 hours.
That's a lot of water
That is a lot of water
in a short
and
period of time.
yeah, and a ton of wind, which is
Hmm.
it's the
Yeah.
combination, right? That I think is going to be ultimately the challenge here
Hmm.
is how do how I can prepare for rain, I can prepare for wind, I can prepare for cold because it's going to be
Yep.
cold too.
Yep.
How do you prepare for all three? And that's what we're gonna talk about tonight because
Yep.
that is a super big challenge. I mean, for an Ironman in particular,
Yeah.
right?
So.
You're talking about all day long.
Hmm.
Um, and I mean, I've never raced in conditions quite like this for this amount of time. Yeah,
Well,
at,
and
at short amounts of time we have, but not for an all day thing.
no, totally. But and the other thing that's really unique here is how quickly the weather has changed, and you really only had maybe a week's notice
Yeah,
that this was going to happen. Whereas, classically, cold race. I always talk about Norseman, but
yeah,
Norseman. I when I signed up for it, I knew exactly what I was getting into, and I
yeah,
had time to prepare and buy, the right gear and to think about which gear to wear at different parts of the event and. Now, everyone's just sort of scrambling and trying to get in. But I
yeah.
feel okay, so I feel a little bad because Pumpkin Man, I'm just doing the sprint and we're gonna have beautiful
It's
weather
supposed to be
here.
beautiful, and that's my favorite race of the
It's
year every year. I am so jealous of you right now. You don't even know.
it is beautiful. This is gonna be a great weekend. It's gonna be chilly in the morning,
Yep.
but that's fine. And I am hoping for a little bit of a wavy swim, but it won't be wavy. It's gonna be a pretty flat swim, I'm sure. And not much wind in the forecast either. So
Yeah.
we got a beautiful day ahead of us.
We're expected to have 25-mile-an-hour headwinds on our swim.
Oh boy.
Now, fortunately, it's a downriver,
Yeah.
but I think the wind coming one way and the current going the other way is
Yeah.
it's gonna,
It's gonna get a little confusing.
and it's a wide river. It's a pretty wide river here. I was surprised at how big the river actually was.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
So for those who are listening and doing the Pumpkin Man, we've got Sprint or Olympic on a beautiful day. So, but Ted and colleagues and friends are doing Ironman California with the Bomb Cyclone,
yeah.
targeting Sunday.
Can you let me share my screen real quick?
Oh yeah, yeah. Now, what Ted and I talked earlier, and what I told Ted, I just whoever's watching, make sure they get good pictures and video because we want to be there with you. Oh my goodness.
So this is the cyclone part up here.
Mm-hmm.
You can see it, and they're calling this the river of water
Uh,
coming. And here's Sacramento right here. And this
Oh
is,
boy.
yeah,
And that is for the 24th, it looks like, huh?
yes,
Yep. So that's race day.
that's race day.
Oh boy. What time's it?
Honestly, John, all I can do is laugh
Yeah.
now and just put a smile on my face and just like, okay, this is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we'll see what happens. You know, there are obviously some people that are saying, oh, they might cancel it or they might do
Yeah.
something. But you know, right now I'm of the belief that it's going to be a full Ironman,
Yeah.
and it's going to be what I originally considered was going to probably be a very fast race.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about that a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
Is potentially going to be a pretty slow race.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's a great that's the mindset that you have to have right now. And right now the race director is clearly watching the
Oh yeah.
conditions and even the water quality that you're going to be swimming in, and and they do have some criteria for when to call it, when not to. And you remember Lake Tahoe,
Yep.
that got called minutes before the race started and they canceled due to air quality.
Yep.
Lake Placid has had races where it was interrupted or stopped, even though some of the people have done a swim. And Ironman Texas, a number of years ago, they had to stop the run at some point because the storm got so dangerous. So, and I remember one of our local athletes, Danny, he ended up taking shelter in a porta potty. So,
Yeah. Well, some of the concerns people are having is in the water, debris in the
yeah.
water. So trees
Mhm.
being knocked down
Yeah,
and branches and stuff, and you're in a river, and that can be very dangerous.
that's right. And I think the E. coli issue as
Well,
well,
E.
but
coli, the water quality
yeah,
is a big issue here as well because it hasn't really rained much, and if
yeah.
you get this amount, the
Hmm.
runoff
Yeah,
into the
into the
rivers,
river. Hmm.
and we got a lot of farmland around here as well.
Hmm.
Um, and then on the bike course, we rode the bike or drove the bike course today. There's a lot of trees hanging over,
Yeah.
and it hasn't rained here before this storm. They said it was 200 and something days,
Oh, wow.
and so the trees are really dry, and you
Yeah.
start getting heavy winds and rain, and I can't even imagine riding along and a tree branch
Yeah.
falling.
Yeah, that's debris. When I lived in Texas, we would get, these intense storms that just wouldn't last very long. This one looks like it's going to last a while, but we'd get these intense storm and drop all this water. And then I remember when I moved there, I was riding and the streets were built with this really steep camber and just these gutters that were huge. And I'm like, what's the deal with these gutters? And they said, well, it's because the water comes down so fast, not even in
Oh,
that spot, but it all accumulates. And then, in essence, is these mini flash floods that happen. But then, 15, 30 minutes after the storm passes and you get that flooding, it's gone. But
yep.
now you have all the debris and you have oil from cars that ends up getting moved around and accumulated in a way that makes the road really slick.
Yeah, obviously I'm going to be really conservative on the bike. Fortunately, because it's an Ironman, you're not going super hard.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely staying in the aerobic zone the
Yeah.
entire time. But there will be people crash.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh, well.
there will be. It's
Mm-hmm.
not. The people crash in Ironman all the time in normal conditions.
Yeah.
So that will happen, and you know, but once again, it is what it is, and there'll be standing water, and
Mm-hmm.
you know, it's going to be an adventure. Like John, last year we talked about Epic October.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah.
just Epic October again,
There you go.
right? That's what I'm looking at it. I actually am honestly like I'm nervous, but I'm looking forward to like a crazy challenge, and once again a story
Yeah.
and a
Okay.
memory that will last a long time.
Yeah.
Because like the blisters on my feet, they'll heal.
Yeah, that's right.
I will eventually warm up. It may take a few days. I'll warm
Mm-hmm.
up, and
Yeah.
then I'll have a memory,
Yeah.
and that's the way I look at it.
You can drain all the water out of your frame and wheels and
I know it's like I've never had to put caulking on my frame before.
yeah, right, right. Yeah, my frame right now, if I was racing, I would go and make sure that all the, the grommets are set and everything's sealed up so you don't accumulate that water.
Yeah.
Because it does actually happen, and now you're carrying that water around. So
You know,
inside the
John,
frame.
we actually have never talked about this. So you know the wheels that have like the where the spokes go in and
Hmm.
there's like the openings.
Yeah, right.
What happens to that water?
Well, that those would be fairings. So I wonder how much. I don't know. I have to look at them because that's a good question. It's not.
So I brought two sets of front wheels. I brought
Mhm.
a very shallow set and a deep set. My deep set have they have the like the spoke goes into a hole, but the hole
Yeah.
is open.
Right. Right. Right.
And part of the reason I'm choosing not to, well, I'm not going to ride them because the winds are going to be so high,
Hmm.
but I would maybe not want to ride them in a really rainy situation because I don't know how the water gets out once it gets in. And then you get this water,
Hmm.
circulating inside your rim. Doesn't sound like a really good idea.
No, but that one is probably designed like it's probably on an aluminum rim though, right?
It is.
Yeah. So you've got this, and I think a lot of people don't know that that depth of that wheel is just. I call it a fairing. It's just
Yep.
it's not part structurally
No,
of
no.
the wheel. So yeah.
But can water hold in there?
That's what I'm wondering. That's why I said, oh, I'd have to look at it and see, but
Yeah. So
yeah.
my shallower wheel is it's sealed.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I'm good with that. And then I have a solid core disc as
Hmm.
well. So
Okay.
that's not a problem. But yeah, so interesting.
Yeah.
All the things you start to think about. You
Mhm.
know, I spend a lot of time creating no referees around, creating a fairing for my
Yeah.
water
Yeah.
situation, which we talked about, and it's all taped.
Yeah. Just gonna fill up.
And I'm just like, oh man, what happens when this tape starts flapping around in the wind? And
Yeah.
I'm like,
That's
oh,
right.
what do I? What,
Hmm.
now I gotta. I'm thinking about weaving the tape.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, interesting. So let's see. You talked about crashing, and that is a likelihood. I know you've crashed during a race. I've
Mhm.
crashed during a race, and I
Yeah.
crashed doing a race down in Dallas, Texas. I remember it had rained, and I was just young and just going, and came across a turn and just not really thinking. It had stopped raining at that point, but
Oh,
the road was like I said, still slick and still had some oil on it from the car. So I hit that turn and bike just came right out from under me. Fortunately, everything was slick and I just slid on the road.
yeah.
And I didn't even have any road rash at that point. So got up and started riding again. But that can be really dangerous because the tendency on falling, and this is how you broke your collarbone,
Shoulder.
is you
Yeah.
reach out and you want to brace yourself. But now you're taking this body that's, a lot of mass and trying to do a one-arm push-up,
Yeah.
dropping yourself from a height of 3-4 feet. That's a real impactful event, and that's where you get your collarbone broken or an arm or wrist.
Fortunately, here there's not too many turns.
Oh, good.
There's turns,
Yeah.
and early on there's a couple roundabouts that have a lot of paint
Mm-hmm.
signs.
Yeah.
Just to be super careful on those. I'm more nervous, honestly, John, and I think you're probably in the same situation about other people, right? Like if
Yeah.
I'm by myself on a wet road, I feel a lot more comfortable than a group of people going into a corner.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then with debris on the road too, right? Like if you can't see the debris, a person's in front of you, and or
Yep.
you're passing somebody, and they try and
Yep.
avoid it. There's all these situations that happen when we add these factors in,
Mm-hmm.
and when you're cold, especially, it's interesting. I talked about it in my class. We're talking about hypothermia, right?
Yeah.
And one of the things that happens in hypothermia is your mental capacity decreases,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and you don't recognize it.
Mm-hmm.
And so maybe I won't be hypothermic. Like let's say I have the right clothes and I can stay warm, but other people around me, they start shivering and they're
Yep.
hypothermic and they're trying to ride, and now they're almost like being drunk. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
almost like having drunk drivers around you,
Yeah.
and you cannot anticipate what that person is going to do. It honestly changes the dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
And I think especially on the back half of the course, when you've been out there for already a couple hours, 2-3 hours, now you add in maybe some hypoglycemia because
Mm-hmm.
people aren't being able to eat as much because of cold,
Mm-hmm.
and then the mental issues dealing with maybe hypothermia.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, it's a dangerous situation.
Oh, it can be. And Pro Triathlete was writing a story about doing Ironman Lake Placid in the 80s, and it was a classic cold, wet race. And he was still dressed in a Speedo and a singlet, and he hit T2, and he said he doesn't remember anything after that.
Yep.
So he was hypothermic, and he woke up later on, and someone told him this is what happened, and he had no recollection of it at all.
Yeah.
And hypothermia is really serious. It's not
It's,
you think
it is. And, here's the thing. I've been going through this in my mind, right? Aerodynamics
mhm.
versus being warm
Yeah, yeah.
and dry.
Hmm.
And at the pointy end of a race, people trying to get a Kona qualifying spot,
Hmm.
there's a balance,
Yeah.
right? And I question if you go down the road of aerodynamics and being light,
Hmm.
right? There was a guy that posted on a Facebook page today. I rode this morning because it was raining, and I just wore this and this. It was very minimal. He's like, I was fine,
Yeah.
and then everyone gets on the Facebook page and they're like, dude, this is nothing like what it's going to be like.
Hmm.
Like
Yeah.
the feels like temperature this morning was 60. It's going to be 40,
Yeah. Right. Right.
right? You posting this is nice and all, but if you wear that during a
Yeah.
5 hour
Hmm.
Ironman after you get out of the water, that's
Yeah.
60 degrees,
Right.
you're going to be in trouble. And I think that especially people like, I hate to say it, people from California, but people here, they don't really experience
Right.
the cold. Like in Nevada, one of the nicest things that I've done, John, and we've talked about this before, is commute. And when you're
Hmm.
commuting in Las Vegas in December and January, there's
Hmm.
been mornings that I've come in and it's been in the 30s, right?
Yeah.
And so I know what that feels like. I know the wet. I know what that,
Mm.
what clothes I need. Now, I haven't done it in the 30s when it's been raining
Yeah.
because
Right.
that day I wouldn't do it. But at least I am aware of kind of what those temperatures are like. And then we've talked about it as well. You and I both spend a lot of time training outdoors.
Hmm.
And this COVID era, a lot of people went to indoor training,
Yeah.
right? So now we got people that have been mostly riding indoors or riding only when it's good weather. And it's honestly, it's that probably scares me more than the weather. Honestly, is the other people on the bike.
Well, I'll tell you, this leads to, I think, rule number one for racing anywhere. Don't dress like every race is Kona.
Yeah,
I think that that's a rule that really people need to really absorb. You don't always need to be in your singlet.
yeah.
You need
I'm not wearing
to.
mine.
That's right, and you need to really make smart decisions because hypothermia is a big deal, but also just being comfortable and being able to do a race for 10, 12, 14, 16 hours. Why you're going to just add to the challenge if you're just miserable and you're not comfortable. So I think for those doing Ironman California, I'm sure they're all out trying to figure out what's the right gear. But I really think people need to not just don't dress like it's Kona. Have clothing ready that you can get rid of, that you don't feel bad if you're doing fine, or have clothing ready to pick up that you can add or change. And there's nothing wrong with changing clothes or trying to stay dry. It's really important to a successful day.
No, I couldn't agree more. And I think that especially think about it, we're used to racing in the hot. So if
Hmm.
I'm a little overheated while I'm racing, if I'm sweating a little bit, that's okay,
Hmm.
right? I I've raced in a lot of hot environments, and so
Yeah,
now maybe I'm creating a warmer environment for myself. Good, I'll drink a little bit more,
yeah, that's right.
right? Like I don't need to be like I'm going to be wearing a race top for the run,
Hmm.
but that's the only time I'm wearing it. But I'm having a rain vest on top of that,
Right.
and and I'm going to have gloves, and I'm going to have you know but that's the run. It's a completely different thing than the bike. When I'm on the
And
bike, I'm basically having no exposed skin.
Yeah, well, and okay, so this is where your special needs bag become really important, and your decisions of what to put in
Yeah.
will be important. Okay, wait, Dave Ellsworth is watching us. He's going up to Sacramento now, and he says he will be sure to have lots of pics and video. Okay, thank you, Dave.
Awesome.
So,
Thanks, Dave. That's great.
we're gonna rely on that. So I want to see it. I want to live it. I want to be there. I you know,
Well, the good
sometimes
thing
these,
is that the pro race is going to be live,
yeah, yeah.
and they're not going to. It's not like they'll be able to avoid the weather. Although I bet they're going to have trouble with the broadcast.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Sure.
Yep.
Well, and it's funny. Sometimes there's a little bit of jealousy when you have a race like this, and those of us not doing it, we're like, oh, come on, we want to, suffer together, and that can be some fun. Okay, so rule one is don't dress like Kona. So, what are you going to wear for the bike?
Okay, so on the top, I'm going to be wearing this jersey here. This is a pretty thick GABA cycling jersey.
Okay.
So it's not waterproof, but it's
Right.
water resistant, and
Mm,
it is short sleeve,
mm-hmm.
but it's pretty thick.
Okay.
It's a stretchy, pretty thick material. I've ridden it in the rain before. It does well in the rain. Now,
Good.
if it really, really starts raining, and I'm wearing nothing under this. This is
Okay.
just this, and then I have so because it's a cycling jersey, I've got deep pockets in the back.
Mm-hmm.
So in one of the pockets will be this rain jacket.
Yep.
Okay. So this will be if it gets to the point where I'm just getting too dang wet, I'm gonna
Mm,
put this on,
yep.
and so that'll be with me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a really nice Gore-Tex rain jacket.
Sometimes what I do, I love those. And I have a light nylon one. I'll wear it under my GABA jersey.
Oh yeah,
So you'd have to take your GABA jersey off and then put that on.
yeah.
But I actually have found it to be really comfortable where that's on the inner side, believe it or not. So,
So when I've even worn a T-shirt under the GABA jersey, I find like I get too hot.
oh, okay, interesting. Yeah,
But the nice thing for me is like this goes so small. Like when I
yeah,
roll it up, it'll fit in that pocket in the
that's
back. It's
perfect.
fine. It can be there all day. And then
Mm-hmm.
if it's really pouring, I may actually wear this on the run,
Yeah, that's
right?
right.
Because I'm not so concerned about the aerodynamics and stuff like that. So, um, yeah. So,
Yep, that's the same type of jacket I took with me in Norseman, where I made sure I had it on the bike that I could use it, and then I did the same thing. I took it on the run, and I actually did wear it on the run for a bit just to get a little bit of warmth at one point because I was running slower. I was going up Zombie Hill, and
yeah.
it was just nicer to have a little bit of heat retention with that.
Now, the only thing with this one is I don't want to throw it away because it was a really
Yeah, that's
expensive
right.
rain jacket. But I
Yeah,
can tuck it in and like just on the run and put it in my shorts,
yeah.
and then I know you're not supposed to abandon stuff, but when I see my wife, I'll just throw it to her. I don't care.
Well, and I know they always say they're not going to, guarantee you getting your special needs back, but a lot of times in races like this, I see that special need bags, they do make their way back. I wouldn't count on it, but
Yeah.
there
And,
are
and I've
times.
got another another vest that I'm going to put in
Yep.
there that I don't care if it comes back.
Right, right.
And then I've got some different. I actually have some arm warmers that I'll put on too. They're pretty
Hmm.
thick. They're
Yep.
not water. They're not rainproof,
Hmm.
but that's okay. I think it's okay if my arms get a little wet.
And this is where I've taken soccer socks,
Yeah.
the long socks that go up to your knee, and I just cut the toes off. And
Yep.
then, I'll pay, $3 for them. And then, I'll actually on a cold race, I'll stash them in different spots, transitions,
Yep.
special needs. And so I can put a series of them. So if I need it, I can take it. If I don't take it. I don't worry if I never see them again because they're $3 socks. So it actually is a neat, cheap way to put arm warmers in different spots of your race.
Then for the bottoms, I'm actually wearing long like knickers,
Yep. Okay.
right? So these go past my knees, basically to my calf,
Yep.
because I want to, I don't want to have any exposed skin, basically.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And once again, I know many people will be wearing shorts. Fine,
Yep.
I don't care. Where would you want? I actually commute in these in the winter,
Yep.
and they're really comfortable for me.
Hmm.
So I'm good with that. And then
So,
gloves. Oh,
yeah. So when I did Norseman, well, I actually wore a heavier, not a heavier, but a nylon pant
yeah,
because I wanted to stay warm, and it was lined. And temps there were expected to be down in the 40s, and sometimes you don't know because that elevation there will
right.
change a lot. But they were waterproof pants, and I actually put booties on too.
So I actually have neoprene booties
Yep.
that go all the way up to where those basically meets those.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm wearing the neoprene booties.
Yeah.
Once again, I don't. I want my feet to be dry
Yeah.
as long as they can be.
Well, and when I commute here, I actually have a pair of Gore-Tex booties that I put on.
So these are Gore-Tex covered neoprene
Oh yeah, nice. Okay,
that
yeah,
I
because
have.
now you're staying dry and you're staying warm. That's
Yeah.
perfect. Yeah.
And then for gloves, I actually haven't decided yet. So I have two
Mm.
pairs. I got a thicker pair.
Yep.
I have a thinner pair, and then my plan I think right now is to go with a thinner pair, but then put surgical gloves on top of them.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Because
Mm-hmm.
my biggest thing is, or not my biggest thing, one of the things is going to be eating,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because you're still burning, you're actually burning more calories because
Mm-hmm.
especially if you start shivering a little bit, you're burning
Yeah.
more calories, and so that is a priority. The one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change my drink formula to be a lot stronger,
Oh, interesting.
right? So I can get more calories
Yeah.
through just my straw.
Because you're not going to have that sensation of thirst so much.
Exactly. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm gonna do that, and then yeah, try and drink a little bit. Well, I'm not. And here's the thing: is we're gonna talk about hydration next week. You still have to drink because you'll be sweating,
Mm-hmm.
but you definitely don't need to drink like. No, normally a race like this, I'd be going through a bottle every half hour,
Yeah.
right? But it'll be like a bottle every maybe 2 hours.
Mm-hmm.
The
It's
dynamic
different.
completely
Yeah,
changes.
that's right.
And so the calorie you can actually bring a bunch of calories in
Mm-hmm.
with the fluid, and because eating solid food is going to be a problem.
Yeah, no, for sure. And yeah, because you're not getting the fluids in as much. And so now you've got the solid without the fluid.
Yep.
Back to the gloves.
Yep.
I actually love riding in ski gloves.
Yep.
And
Well, that's what the first pair was more like a ski glove.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah. So I again like a waterproof glove. And when I'm commuting, I wear my ski gloves. Anytime it's below 50 degrees, I'm in my ski gloves.
Yep.
So I want my hands to be warm.
Have you done the surgical gloves on top or underneath?
I've used surgical gloves when I've used more of a neoprene glove,
Yeah.
and that's good, but not as good as my ski gloves.
Yeah.
And I don't, what? I put my hands on my aero bars. If I get a little aero penalty because of it, it does not outweigh the, keeping my hands comfortable and warm.
Yep.
So
Because if you lose your fingers and you lose the ability to use your hands
yeah.
once again, you're in some trouble.
Yeah,
You know,
your
shifting,
shifting
braking.
is your managing your bike in general.
Yeah.
Yeah, that it's good to keep the hands warm. So okay, how about head? What are you putting on?
I'm actually going to just have my aero helmet. It's pretty warm, and my
Okay,
aero helmet doesn't have any vents other
okay,
than just along the
oh good,
shield.
okay.
The one thing I'm concerned with is fogging up.
Mm-hmm.
The
Yeah.
shield. I've had issues where the shield's fogged up. I've never ran it in conditions quite like this, where
Mm-hmm.
it's only usually fogged up when it's warmer.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But I've got some anti-fog spray. I'm going to spray it down really good.
Good, good.
Um,
That's what I've done that as
Yeah.
well.
But
So
having like an unvented aero helmet is
mhm.
actually pretty nice.
Yeah,
It keeps you actually pretty dang cozy.
yeah,
It's the exact opposite of normally like when we're racing in hot weather. I'm like, oh man, this helmet is gonna suck.
yeah. Right, right.
It's so hot. And then for the run, I have a Gore-Tex cap.
Okay. Yeah.
So they said it doesn't get too wet, but we'll see.
Mm-hmm. Well,
I'm
I
not. I'm
like.
not as concerned when I'm running.
Yep.
I feel like my thermal regulation is a lot better because you're not getting as much convective cooling.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. To me, it's not as much of an issue. I mean, going 30 miles an hour, 40 miles an hour on your bike in some sections with a big
Right.
tailwind
Well, with the
or
wind
into a
too.
headwind,
Yeah,
you,
the wind's
you,
gonna be an issue. Yeah, I like wearing a skull cap under my helmet when I know it's going to be cold, and really cold for me is when it starts getting under 50.
Yeah.
That's my sort of threshold for when I
Even
start
in,
really layering
but
up.
even in your aero helmet?
I haven't worn my skull cap under my aero helmet. I have not.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. If it was like same with me, like if I'm commuting,
yeah,
I'll put a skull cap under my commuting hat
right.
or helmet. But I think the aero helmet, I think it's going to be warm enough.
Yeah, and your aero helmet has the magnet visor on, right?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. It's like the full, yeah, it's the same as yours, except for mine doesn't have vents.
Okay.
And if I had the one with vents, I would tape those vents.
Okay.
Because why would you want water coming in, right? So those of you that are actually, listening to this that are going to race this weekend, pro tip: tape your vents on
Yeah. Hey.
your helmets.
Mhm. And practice taking your visor off,
Yeah,
pin it up, and make sure you can put it back down too, because you're right, it will fog up or just accumulate with droplets if it's raining or if it just rained, and you want to be able to get that out because and this speaks to your point of what other people are doing. If they can't see,
yeah,
that's where it gets dangerous as well. So and the other issue with biking is you've got the water spinning off the wheels, which was always I always hated those physics problems, by the way. That was water spinning off wheels was always a tough physics problem for me.
how so?
Well, you had to figure out how fast the wheel was spinning and how long the water drop would stay on the wheel as it spun.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. So it was,
So you have like almost like a
yeah,
hydrolysis.
that's right.
Oh yeah, that's interesting
Right.
stuff. That's really interesting, actually, if you think about it. That physics problem.
Fortunately, I had someone doing their PhD in physics, and I spent a lot of time out in the courtyard. We were in, family housing, and he had kids, and we had kids, and so we'd sit out on the picnic bench, and I'd say, "Hey, you gotta show me how to do this problem because I'm not getting it," and he'd walk me through it. So it was pretty cool. All right, so
So
yeah, so you know what? We skipped a part though.
yep.
Pre-race.
Oh yeah.
So how far are you from your hotel to the swim start, and what are you wearing?
Well, you have it's we're about 2.5 miles from where the transition area is. So you have to actually go to the transition area in the morning and bring your run bag,
Mm,
leave it by your bike. It's a weird situation here.
okay.
You give your T2 bag the day before,
Okay.
but your T1 bag you bring in the morning, and then you set your bike up. Then there's a shuttle in the morning from the transition area to the swim start,
Okay.
and it's like less than 10 minutes,
Okay.
right? Because it's only like the 2.4 miles.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, yeah, you're just gonna be standing around, and that's a time that you can get really cold.
That's right.
So obviously getting the wetsuit on early.
Mm-hmm.
I have a poncho
Yeah.
that we can get rid of, and like knitted hat throw that I plan on like literally just throwing away right before I go in. Um, Gloves that I can just throw away right before I go in.
Yeah.
Socks, same thing.
Yeah.
I brought throwaway shoes.
Mm-hmm.
All of
Right,
these things,
because
and I know there's a morning clothes bag there, but I want to have that stuff on
mm-hmm.
as long as I can because we actually did a pre-swim yesterday in a lake that feeds the one river. And there's two rivers here. You actually go in one river, and then you go to a confluence of two rivers.
Okay.
The first river is 63.
Mm-hmm.
The second river is 59. So it's going to be. I mean, that's cold water. And so if you're cold going in, if I'm shivering going in,
Mm-hmm.
that's trouble.
No, that is. Yeah, on your feet and you're right. You want to have that warmth right up to the last moment, but you need to drop off your morning clothes bag,
Yeah.
your dry clothes bag, whatever they're calling it at this point. You got to drop that off well before you're in line for the
I
swim.
basically am going to have nothing
Yeah.
in the morning clothes bag there because
Mm-hmm.
everything I have is disposable.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I see people, and I like the idea of the hotel slippers.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'd go out and get socks that we are like you're okay. It's just a pair of socks. You're not
I
attached to them.
I
So
honestly just brought like a pair of running shoes that I just never wear anymore. They're just sitting in the garage, like
yeah,
and I'm like, you know what? I there's a lot of homeless people here. If they find them the next day, they can
yeah,
have them. That's
mhm,
fine.
yeah,
So like, I honestly don't think I have anything I'm gonna leave in the morning clothes bag
mhm.
because you know how it is. They're gonna start staging us
Yeah, right.
40 minutes before, so you're standing around. I'm not gonna be standing around in bare feet or even socks when it's pouring rain and wind.
So, I haven't heard anything about a poncho anywhere. You're
No,
not
no, I just said
attached.
I have a poncho for the morning.
Oh, okay, okay, all
Yeah,
right. Just in case it's raining. That's a great idea.
yeah,
Oh, yeah,
yeah. I
that's
do have a poncho, but I honestly, I think as soon as we get to the swim start, the
hmm
wetsuit's going on.
yeah, yeah.
There's, there's why not? It's going to keep me warm.
No, that's the
Shoot,
idea.
I might wear the wetsuit out of the house.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, why not?
That's right.
You know,
Yeah.
I don't see me overheating
hmm
in it. Um, I I won't forget it because that's at Oregon. I actually forgot it at the Airbnb, so
Oh, that's right. I remember you
no, I won't
telling that
forget it if I'm
story.
wearing it. Perfect.
No, that's right.
So, and then we're gonna wear. I'm gonna wear swim booties, which I haven't done other
Oh,
than in
interesting.
practice.
Okay.
Because once again, like if you get too cold there,
hmm
there's no chance to warm up anywhere.
Yeah.
Right?
hmm
Now, fortunately, they are having a warming change tent, which they weren't planning on doing.
Oh, good.
And they're having warming buses on the bike course.
Okay, just in case. That's great.
There's places you can stop and go
Yeah.
into a bus
hmm
and warm up.
Yeah.
And then they're going to have another warming tent at transition area between the bike and the run if you need it.
Mm.
So they're
That would
trying. They're
that,
trying.
that's good. That would be tough to get off that bus though and back out there once you warm
Can you
up.
imagine
And if
once you're
you can't get,
shivering?
I mean, if you can change your clothes,
Yeah.
that's great because just having wet clothes and being cold, that's where you run into trouble. So, yeah,
So
that,
in my special needs, I'm going to put a just another jersey that I don't care
yep.
about,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not going to be as warm, but if I get too wet, it'll be dry.
Mm-hmm.
And I do have my
Mm-hmm.
rain jacket I can put over top of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. The logistics of this, John. Honestly, when I was packing, oh
Yeah.
my gosh, I have never packed so much stuff for a
Yeah.
race.
Yeah.
Like I had two huge bags of stuff just because you never know. Like the forecast 4 days ago or 4 days, before the race when we actually packed my stuff,
Mm-hmm.
things change. It
Oh,
could have got
totally.
better.
And our local listeners will know this is what Silverman was like. You never knew what Silverman was going to throw at you from
Yeah.
beginning to end because you're out there for a long period of time and the weather can change. At that time of year, it was November, and the weather can change quite drastically. So you've got to have. You're right. It's your race list is super long. Yeah, I'm going to T2. I'm just going to go drop my stuff off for Pumpkin Man in the morning. I just got shoes, my run belt, a hat, and glasses. That's it.
I
So
know it's like so easy. And honestly, do you even need the glasses? Right?
I don't. No, I don't even need the
And you
glasses.
probably don't even need the hat.
I don't
Like
even need the hat. You're
you
right.
just need
No.
all you really need is your belt
Yep.
and your
And
shoes,
That's
and
it.
that's it. I've actually set up Pumpkin Man many times too, and like,
No.
what do I really need here?
No. No.
Like,
I felt very guilty just pulling that out because I'm thinking of all you folks, and I know
yeah,
you're laying things out. You're checking it. You're putting it in the bag. You pull it back out. You're checking it again, and you've got to. Well, it's not going to fit. And okay, now I get to do it this way. So
well, and
it's
we're
so
supposed to
intensive.
change from the bike to the run at our bike.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
hmm
so that's the other thing. But they don't allow, you can't go full nudity.
No. No.
So now I have a change poncho,
Yeah. That's
right?
good. Yeah.
And that's normally I wouldn't change.
hmm
Like I'd be wearing the same thing the
Yeah.
entire time. But I'm definitely taking all that wet stuff off, and I'm
Yeah.
putting new stuff on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's such an interesting thing,
Yeah.
like all of the what ifs and
Yeah.
you know
Have you ever looked into using the waterproof socks? I have not. I've seen them, but I haven't.
I
I
looked
never
at them
switched
this
over.
week, and I was just like,
hmm
I don't know. I'm very nervous about
hmm
the run footing.
Yeah.
and I brought two pairs of different shoes. The unfortunately, the ones I think will be better in the rain, they have no grip.
Mm, mhm,
And so the ones that have more grip, I think are going to be worse in the rain.
mhm,
I did a lot of research on this, reading like marathon forums, and
mhm.
basically people just suggested like, we're going to hear from Rick, and he's going to
Yeah,
say, "Hey, don't wear socks."
that's right.
Um, I and Rick, thank you for that. I ran twice last week without. It was early last week, when we started to see it might be raining, without socks on, and I
Mhm.
tore my feet up pretty good.
Yeah.
And but I gave myself time for them to heal.
Mhm.
But I'm not prepared for that, and I know I should never run in socks. I know. But they said that the best thing to do is find basically the lightest pair you can find,
Yep,
and
right.
then lots of lubrication inside your shoes. And I've got
Mhm.
a
That's
ton of
right.
like Vaseline.
Mhm.
Um, and once again, it is what it is.
Mhm.
I fully plan on my feet being pretty tore up by the end, and I'm willing to sacrifice that, I guess.
So it's interesting. We had one of our grad students, and we've talked a little bit about this one
Yeah.
before, do her thesis on what happens to shoes when they get wet. And really, we're looking at energy absorption and energy return. So just doing total mechanical testing. She wanted to do the in-person testing, but with COVID, we weren't able to do that. So at least she did the mechanical testing. So she did this series of test where she saturated the shoes with water, left them in the bucket for like 3 hours, so they were fully saturated, and then impact tested the shoes, and then also added in a repetitive loading condition to let some of that water get flushed out of the midsole, especially. And so it was interesting. Some of it was a little predictable. The impact energy absorbing ability of the shoe was worse with water saturation, but the energy return properties did not change. So it was still bouncing back well, but just not absorbing some of that impact. So
Well, it'd be interesting to see that exact same research done with a carbon plated shoe.
oh yeah, no, that's
I'm
right.
wearing carbon plated shoes, so the energy return should be the same.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And the absorption, they're so thick. The soles
Yep.
are so thick. There's a ton of absorption there already.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
My bigger thing is the weight.
Yeah.
You know,
And the weight did go up 100 grams, so pretty consistently among different size shoes. So,
and then think
and
about it,
that,
she's just doing shoes. She's not talking about socks.
no, that's right. And we thought about that as well. If we were going to do it in person, is what do you do with the sock? But the 100 grams, that's actually quite a bit. And that does make running harder. And from a physiological perspective, we measured VO2. Your VO2 to run the same pace with a heavier shoe will go up with 100 grams added to your feet. So pretty significantly. So you want to, yeah, if you can keep your shoes dry, which you won't
But
be
I
able
just
to,
don't think
but
there's any way.
yeah.
Like I have, it's beyond me how I can keep my shoes dry.
Hmm.
Um,
Because I think what you're going to be dealing with if this bomb cyclone, does what it's going to do, dropping 5 inches of water over a short period of time, they're going to have standing water, and
no, that's the
you're,
problem.
yeah, and I bet you'll probably be okay on the bike because most of the roads are probably already set up for draining.
Yeah,
But I bet you on your run is where you may see more standing water, and
I've run a
now
lot of
you've got
bike
to
paths. Yeah.
yeah, that's right. So now you got to decide: are you running through that puddle or are you running around that? And that puddle could be who knows how deep.
Yeah,
I
we rode it.
remember.
We rode part of that run course today, and it rained in the morning, and there was still standing water
Yeah, that's right. That's
in
right.
puddles,
Yeah.
and it was only like a half an inch of rain this morning, right?
Yeah.
So it's yeah, like honestly, out of everything, that's the thing that I'm most nervous about is my
Mm-hmm.
feet just being tore up,
Yeah.
so wet.
Mm-hmm.
Because when your feet get wet, they get softer, and the
Yeah.
skin tears, and uh,
Well, but
yeah,
the other part of that is as you're running, you're going to be dodging puddles or bodies of water, and now
spending
you're
more energy.
changing direction and you're not used to it. And that actually can introduce a problem that you're going to have to deal with later. Could be a knee problem or what have you.
Yep.
But I think about Army of Maryland. I didn't do it.
Oh, with the rivers running through, yeah.
Right, and they were running through water that was calf deep, if not deeper, and Yeah, that makes for a fully saturated shoe, and you're carrying that extra weight in the shoe and the sock. So
Yeah, I think that, my goal pace is completely different now.
yeah, yeah,
Like it is. It really is. It's like I understand the physics of this and that it is going to be harder to run. And,
hmm
once again, if this was a 5K or a 10K,
yeah, that's
yeah,
fine.
I can power
Yeah,
through it. But 42K,
yeah. And this would be a time where if your socks do get saturated, this would be a time where it would be right there with Rick and say, take the socks off. You don't want to carry the extra weight. But
that's why I'm wearing the thin socks.
yeah,
So
that's
hopefully
good.
they don't carry much weight.
Hmm.
Um, there might come a time halfway through where I just say screw it and take the
Yeah.
sock stop, take the
Hmm.
socks off, and just suffer the consequences.
All right. So really important question that we
Yeah.
we actually have not talked about ever. What are your Sherpas doing?
Well, the problem is I only have one Sherpa.
Okay.
Yeah, and
Oh, Costco's out there.
she's responsible for more than one person. Cosmo is actually, this should be a Where's Cosmo episode. Cosmo is off with his auntie
Oh,
hiking in Utah this
oh,
weekend.
nice.
He's
Oh,
Yeah, he's a really happy camper this weekend. He's at a ranch up in Utah,
oh, that's great.
so he's super happy. So yeah, so Marie, you know, it's interesting. I basically have told her, I said, you know what? I need you at a few places.
Yeah.
I need you when I get off the bike because I want to know
Yeah.
where I'm positioned,
Hmm.
right? If I'm in contention for top 10 spot, it might make a difference.
Yeah,
If I
that's
get off the
stay
bike
happy.
and you tell me I'm in 50th,
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
it's
Totally
gonna be
different.
a totally different day.
Yeah.
Or if I get off the bike and she says, hey, you're in sixth or seventh,
Hmm.
then it's going to be a little bit different story.
Yeah.
And so I need her there. And then I told her, I said, other than that, honestly, you can, if you
Hmm.
want to watch, if you can be rain, get somewhere to be protected, go ahead. And the next time I need her is at the finish.
Yeah.
Because she'll have clothes for me and
Hmm.
some warm things to
Yep.
drink. And
Yep.
so, I think we need to be, we did our relationship
Yeah.
talk
Right.
a few months ago, and I'm really cognizant of the fact that it'll be a hard day for her.
That's right.
I told her, I said, I don't want you sitting out here all day in the
Hmm.
rain.
Hmm.
I said, we drop me off in the morning,
Hmm.
right? And if I can get a split at that point, great. If not, that's okay too.
Yep.
And I'll see you at the finish, and you can be on the tracker. And if you can find me at different places, that's great. But
Hmm.
I, I mean, I can't rely. I shouldn't rely on her
Right.
because our relationship is really important to me. And now, if it was a beautiful day, 75 degrees, and she can sit it out and go
Yeah.
get
Right.
coffee and come back,
Hmm.
but I don't want her sitting out in the rain,
No.
in the wind.
So no, and I think the spectators, the Sherpas, really need to dress
Yeah,
appropriately. Right foot, footwear, right rain gear.
yeah,
That's important. I know when I was watching Laura do Copenhagen, that was a rainy day.
yeah,
And the other thing that I did is prior to the race, I scoped out some good places to sit in a covered area and be able to order food and what
yeah,
have you. And then it was enjoyable. I'm sitting there and yeah, it may have been raining, but I was, there was an awning over me and it was really quite comfortable.
yeah.
I did that for my folks in Ironman, Maryland. I actually went to a restaurant that was on the run course. And I went ahead of time and I actually paid them up front for them to hold the table for my folks. And just, I said, here, I'm going to pay you whatever it is right now. And then I'll pay you again afterwards. So my folks can just sit on the patio and
Oh
not
wow,
have
what a
to
great
be,
idea!
yeah, moving around. This is where the VIP stuff for Ironman, I know it's pricey, but that can actually be a real nice feature
Yeah,
for a lot of people where, they have strategic VIP sections to be able to hang out and that can make it enjoyable for the Sherpa or whoever's with you and helping you. And then you can both enjoy the experience. So,
yeah, and honestly, John, at this point, for me, I've raced so many races all over the
mhm.
world. She's been to so many of them, and supported me. I honestly, like, I appreciate the fact that she's here and she wants to help.
Yeah.
and I'm tell her like, you can help me as much as you want, but I
Mm-hmm.
don't expect anything
Mm-hmm.
other than a drop off and a pickup,
Yeah.
right? Get me to the race and get me back.
Well,
Um,
no, that's love it, and that's great. Now, when I did Norseman, uh, you have no other way to get support. They don't have any
right.
race support.
You
So in
have your
that
crew to
case,
support
Laura
you.
was my support, and there it was really, part of the fun of the race was trying to coordinate when we would meet up, and then even when once we, even though we had a whole plan, we abandoned the plan anyhow, and it was pretty funny. So we enjoyed that. Okay, wait, I got a question here on Facebook. Yoshi writes, I know shoes are going to be wet, but you think it's a good idea to have a change in socks at special needs.
So
I would put them in there.
yeah,
And
Yoshi, I have I'm gonna have a pair in mind,
yep,
but the truth of the matter is if there's standing water and it's pouring, you're gonna stop, change your socks. They're gonna be instantly
yep.
saturated anyways.
Hmm.
So I think that the better plan is if it gets to a point where your socks are bothering you that much, is just to take them off.
I like that, but I would put them in there
Yep,
because you don't know how the
exactly.
weather's going to
If
change.
if it does
And
change and it dries out,
yeah, 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 because think of St. George where we were there. I mean, you got hit by that. We all got hit by the storm at a different spot of the course. But then if you can readjust for an
yep.
Ironman, because you still got a long time out there, even when you get to that 13-mile mark, you still got a half marathon to run.
So
And
it's
if it stopped raining, I'd change socks at that point.
I considered putting a pair of shoes in there,
Yeah, right.
but then I was like, oh, if I don't get them back,
Yeah, yeah.
you
I
know,
wish the race director would say whether or not they're going to try to
they
get
said
the.
they said we weren't going to get them back,
Okay.
and I'm like, gosh,
Yeah.
I seriously considered it, and I have a pair that I still might just.
You know, what I did at one race, I went to Lost and Found afterwards, and that's where they put the special needs bag. So maybe, hey, you just went mute.
Sorry, at Ironman Arizona, they did that. They were in the
Okay.
lost and found, and you could just go and
Yep.
find your stuff. Yeah.
Hmm. Hmm.
So that's a good question though, Yoshi. Thank you.
It is, yeah. And I see some of the comments responding to, yeah, put an extra pair of socks in. You just never know. Put new socks in every bag, actually.
Yeah,
So, yeah, I
I have.
would. And that's where I would put in my tube sock
Yeah.
arm warmers in too. They're not waterproof, but maybe it stops raining and now the temperature is cold. Well, throw them on.
Or if it's just drizzling a little, right? Like
Yeah, yeah.
they'll stay warm for a while.
Hmm. And I would put in, those little throwaway ponchos. Those ones that just sort of pack into a little
Yeah.
square. They're useless once you open them up and use them, but it may help, or because you often see people grabbing garbage bags during the run, especially, and using those, big garbage bags to put over you, and
What I want to do is have a big garbage bag for the downwind part of the run,
yeah, yeah, right,
right?
yeah,
And then just get rid of it for the for when you're going into the headwind.
yeah,
The other thing we should talk about, we haven't really talked much of this, but it's a good time to talk about it, is running into a headwind.
mhm, yeah,
And in particular, number one is don't overrun into a headwind, right?
it's like going uphill.
It's like going uphill, and if you're running off of a pace instead of a heart rate, it can be dangerous. But
Hmm.
especially in an Ironman for kind of overcooking it, but also drafting.
Hmm.
If you're running into a 25-mile-an-hour headwind,
Yeah,
if you can get behind somebody, it's going to pay off.
yeah, that's right. No, that's a great point. No, just get behind them and get a little bit of break. So, um, I'm looking at the comments here, and it is, yeah. The one other thing with the wind and the potential change in temp as the sun goes. Not that you're going to see the sun, but for anyone who's going to be finishing beyond 5 p.m., 6 p.m., it's going to get dark, and now you've got cold temps on top of potentially being wet. And again, this is where I would think ahead, and I think, okay, where am I with my run? Am I going to be able to be running at that point, or am I walking? And I'd be thinking about what type of running pants to wear or to have available during the course, because if you're still going to be out there until, if you're a midnight finisher,
Oh yeah.
boy, you've got to you got to have the right clothing to get done in those types of conditions, or even if you're going to be finished at 9 p.m. I
Yeah,
mean,
you need a Gore-Tex jacket,
yeah, right.
right? Once that temperature drops and the sun,
Mm-hmm.
because yes, it's cloudy, but there's still some radiant heating.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No, you're absolutely right. I'm really hoping that I finish before it gets dark. That's just me,
Yeah.
but and I'm
Mm-hmm.
not, and I am making some contingency plans for if I don't.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's
But I know, like, if I'm running here in the morning, now I'll wear a skull cap, and it's just nice to be warm. And so again, if you're if you're not, going for, age group win, or you're you're going to be out there for 10, 11, 12 hours, be comfortable. And that's going to give you your best chance to be successful.
yeah, and
Yeah.
just have a good day, right? Like,
Yeah.
once again, we do this for fun, and we do this to not maybe this won't be for fun, but maybe this is to once again have an epic challenge that
Yeah.
you overcome, and you're right, you'll be way more successful the more comfortable you can be, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, and all I got on tomorrow is Pumpkin Man. That's I just got the hill.
John,
If I get up the hill,
you're gonna be done before it's most people are having their brunch.
that's right. Well, and the thing I love about Pumpkin Man, you get to the top of the hill, and the run is relatively flat.
Yeah.
So I feel like, if I can get to that spot, T2 is just a wonderful spot, because now you're like, oh, all you got is a 5K run.
Yep. No, like I said, that's if I could trade right now with you, I would.
Well, but see, that's interesting. I'd trade in I'd love to be able to tell the story of doing an Ironman in a bomb cyclone. I mean, I can't wait to see the images that come out of this. Uh,
Yeah, it's gonna
that's
be
gonna
pretty
be,
epic. But honestly, like, this is not what I signed up for a year
yeah,
ago.
right, right.
Hey, Joe, many people have told me since I've been here, it hasn't rained in over 200 days.
Oh,
I'm
that's
like,
amazing.
okay,
Yeah.
yeah, you need the rain. I appreciate that, but
Hmm.
how come it's Sunday?
Yeah, right, right.
Let's
That's,
wait one more day. I'm fine. I'm completely
mhm.
fine if it happens on Monday. I could care less.
Well, and then we had a lot of our friends go and do Coeur d'Alene, and they had the heat,
Yep.
and it was the same type of thing. It was just, it hit at race time, and uh, you just never know what when you sign up for these, you just don't know.
Yeah. You
And
don't.
Ironman California is a brand new race, so you don't even have the history of that. A lot of races you can say, okay, well, yeah, Coeur d'Alene, you've had heat, so there's always that potential, and so there's a little bit of history there, but not for this race. So,
I think it's gonna be interesting to see the did not start list.
oh yeah, yeah,
People are just like, you know what? I'm good.
mm-hmm,
This is
yeah,
not this is not what I signed up for. I think it's gonna be pretty large, actually.
mm-hmm, yeah, and you know what, that's fine. It's
If you're not prepared for it,
no,
you
that's right. Yeah, if you don't have the clothing, if all you got is your Kona outfit,
exactly.
that's not going to be a pleasant day. So
Well, John, I
hey,
should let
just
you go because you have to race tomorrow. I got another day
yeah,
to ponder.
yeah, yeah,
So good luck tomorrow to you and to everybody
thanks.
else that's racing Pumpkin Man, and especially good luck to everyone racing with
Yep,
me on Sunday.
yep,
Hope to see you all out there. I can't wait for Jan and Gustav and
yeah,
Lionel to pass us all
yeah,
on. We'll be on the first lap of the bike, and they'll be on the second.
yeah.
So that'll be kind of. That's actually, believe it or not, I'm a little nervous about the motorcade
Oh yeah, yeah,
coming by, right?
yeah, yeah.
Because they're gonna have media and they're gonna have all this stuff, and they're gonna be hammering by us,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like, gosh, like, how they gonna manage that?
Mm.
So
Well, that'll be fun. We'll be cheering you folks on from afar, and hopefully watching some YouTube and seeing what it's like, and then
yeah,
watching for at least Dave's pictures when he posts them in
yeah.
videos.
Thanks, Dave. Appreciate that. All right,
All
John.
right, hey, you have a great time, and I'll talk with you afterwards.
Okay, bye.
All right, bye.